Hey everyone, and welcome to After Hours here at Linda's Electric Quilters. I am super excited that you are joining me this evening. As you can see, I am by my lonesome tonight. Mom is on an anniversary vacation with my stepdad, so I'm super duper excited and happy for them to do that. But I wanted to make sure that we would still come live to you and show you a few different things that we've been working on. Now, going back to what we used to do, kind of throwing it back on this Thursday, was we actually used to do the point where we would show blocks and then we would draw them out and then we would actually go quilt them. So I kind of have a habit of going to different quilt shows or different flea markets or different antique stores and finding a bunch of quilt blocks. I don't know if this is what y'all's stash looks like too, but I get these for pennies on the dollar, which is kind of sad when you think about it, when someone put all the work and all the fabric into it, but they're great practice pieces if you're kind of wanting to test out different freehand or computerized techniques on something that isn't necessarily your own piece. You know what I'm talking about? So I have 3 blocks on the machine, and we're going to show you what those look like, and then we're going to draw, quilt, draw, quilt, kind of like we used to, and kind of get you to interact with me. I have Ray here with me. He's going to be answering the, he's waving, but they can't see him. He's going to be asking the questions that y'all put in the feed. So if you have any questions, throw those in the feed. He will ask them and I'll get them answered for you. So let's head over to the machine real quick, and we are going to take a look at those blocks. So like I said, we're going to be focusing on 3 different blocks this evening. First one I'm going to be looking at is Old Faithful, a good old pinwheel. So we're going to look at the difference in density when it comes to quilting. Then we have another one right here, kind of a traditional star block, but kind of given a different twist with the 4 patch in the center. We're going to look at using continuous arc on this one to quilt this whole piece out continuously without stopping. And then last but not least, I wanted to show you an applique block doing some background quilting. Now, one thing before we get started, I want to make sure we're all clear. I am using a high contrasting thread, and I'll be doing this with the black light on so you can see the quilting. I may probably not actually quilt it like this in real life with that thread, but I want you to be able to see the quilting on these pieces since the fabrics are printed. So I just want to make sure we have that out of the way before we get started. And I'll also probably be doing some drawing over here as well with my Ultimate Marking pen. But let's head back into the studio and let's start our drawing process. So here we are. I've got the first block that we're going to be working on. This is the pinwheel. I'm going to get a little bit more of a zoom on that one for us. And then I'll move this up just a hair. There we go, perfect. So we can see what we're doing. Okay, so with this one you have that traditional pinwheel where you have the negative space, which is going to be the black, and then you've got the printed piece. So in this one, because the print was so busy, I didn't want to add anything super crazy in there because you wouldn't really see it at the end of the day. But in this negative space, I really want to throw something in here to make it fun, flashy, and have it pop a little bit. So our start and stops for this one will be in the center of the block, right here. And you can start either by doing the print or the negative space, completely up to you. I'm going to start off by doing the print. So we're going to come off to the right, and this is just going to be continuous curve. Just lock it down with something. Because the fabric is so busy already, like I said, don't want to go in with a ton of different quilting because you're not really going to see it. So we're just going to do a continuous arc. So we're going to come out to our point here, up to our point here, and down to our point there in the center. Again, starting and stopping right here. Working around this block in a continuous clockwise motion. We're back here again. For this one, I want to add some flair and some spin into it, but always returning back to that center mark. And so what I mean by that is I want to come out a little bit with a curve and then come back to that piece. Back again and back. Back again, back, and back. And you're doing this all the way back and you're getting those nice deep arcs. Kind of looks like tiger stripes almost. But it gives it that kind of whirlwind look as we work around this. Now this last one I'll have to give, we're going to do one little tiny one here and then one here, and then travel back up to that piece again. But you see, it just gives it flair and movement. Biggest thing about this one is traveling in the direction that that pinwheel is turning. That way it looks like this is kind of flying. Now we're still back here in the center, so then we can come into our arcs. Pa-choo, pa-choo, and pa-choo. And then you do your little tiger stripes. I don't know, what would you call this? Let me know in the comments what y'all think this design could be called. Your little tiger stripes, something. We're gonna call it tiger stripes tonight. But you're just doing this back and forth. When we get down here, you can add in a little bit of extra, as long as you're returning back and kind of deeping up into that section. Now, not all of these have to match by any means. The beauty of freehand is that you can just kind of bounce around, give it different textures and different movement. But then you're back into doing your arc, then your cuts, as long as you're swinging right on back. Here, 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 and here, just like that. There, there, back to the center, and then arcing again. So we're going to do all of that in one continuous piece, just again making sure you're flowing in the direction that you naturally want to flow with. Someone said calling it palm tree leaves. I could see that. Yeah, that's a good one. I like palm tree leaves. That's nice. I didn't even think about that. Whose idea was that, Ray? Ray, you can talk. Lisa, thank you, Lisa. Ray's writing down notes on a whiteboard and showing me. Okay, so that's what we have for this one right here. So we're gonna do that. So let's head over to the machine and actually stitch it. But that's that first initial block that we're gonna work on. So I'm going to take you out. I want you to look at that design just a little while longer while I get camera set up out there. I just love the movement that it has on that, and just gives it something a little different that we're working with. So I'm running a one, there we go. Okay, all right. So let's take a look-sees out here. So this is our block. I'm gonna go ahead and throw on, we've got black light on. I'm gonna draw just real quick with us just to make sure we're on the same page. And then we're actually gonna turn off the light so you can see the thread glow. Again, we're starting and stopping there in the center. Go whatever direction you would like. You can also use your ultimate marking pencil if you want to kind of give yourself a direction, just to make sure you're flowing. Sometimes when we're going so fast, we kind of lose track of where we need to be. So if you give yourself this just actual direction first, you can make sure you're going the right way without really having to think about it at all. So let's turn off the lights. Let me know which one you rather like, with lights on or lights off. I know it's harder to see the fabric a little bit, but I think it's really cool to see the actual quilting. So let us know, and Ray will tell me which one you prefer. So starting here in the center, taking a single stitch and pulling up our thread. I'm going to tie off right here. And then we're going to start off to the right first, doing that basic continuous arc. I got stitch regulator on, doing 12 stitches per inch. Coming back. Only thing about the lights off is y'all can really see what I'm doing now. All right, so now let's do those tiger stripes, those palm tree leaves. Coming back and back. Biggest thing about this one is remembering to go up. Try to get back to that starting point. And they don't have to be right on top of one another. As you can see, sometimes my overstitching hits and sometimes it doesn't. There's that one. And then we have one little one here, and let's do one little one here. And then we're gonna travel up, right back there again. And now we're into doing continuous arc on that. Oh, I dropped my template. That's okay. I can grab it. We'll be okay. Ray, do they like lights on or off? Off. Okay, all right, off it is. All right, so now let's go back into continuous arc. There, there. And I'm just doing these arcs freehand. If you want to use an arc template to make those perfect, by all means, that's completely up to you. Beauty of freehand, you can do it whatever way you want to. All right, back in with our palm tree leaves. Giving us some swoop on that. Just like that. There we go. And we'll do 2 more here. And then we'll travel up and continuous curve. Oh, that was a big curve. Whoops. Oh well. That's all right. Oh, actually worked out pretty well though. All right, and then here we go again. So you can see if you have a bunch of these pinwheels and you're doing something like this and you get the flow of it, my gosh, you can get this knocked out fast. So that last set of tiger stripes palm leaves, I did that one a little different. I kind of came back a little lower each time on this, just to give you 2 different design ideas if you want to travel all the way back up, or if you just want to use less thread and kind of just go back and forth. You have different ways of looking at it, completely up to you. So we're arcing over, arcing back here, and then tiger stripes or palm leaves in it back. This is turning out super cute. Another benefit of doing something like this, again, like we said at the beginning of the block, you don't have to follow directly on the stitch line. It gives it more depth, dimension, and a little bit more movement. Traveling back up here, we would go ahead and tie off at that point, and then we'll pull away and pull up our threads. And then we can trim our first set that I missed initially, and our second set, just like that. So easy way to get through pinwheels. Just remembering, if you have a pattern print that you don't want to take away from the pattern, do something simple and accentuate the negative space at that point. And then you can kind of take it from there. So let's head back into Studio, and we're going to start drawing on our next block. I think oh, Ray, he's an intern right now. He's got the camera at a different angle right now. So we are going to keep talking about this block, I guess. The joys of live. I could cut this out, but I can't. So again, on this one, just giving it a little bit of movement, playing around with it, and kind of taking it to the next step when you have that ability. Again, using a contrasting thread so you can see it. But let me know what you think in the feed and in the comments below for how this turned out with just throwing in some simple, quick freehand work. And I think he is almost done. Let's take a look. Okay. How are we doing, Ray?
We're doing great.
Alrighty. Okay. So back in the studio. Here we are. All right. You'll get this. Trust me. It's a production. All right. I'm using a sheet protector, and then I have some poly batting to erase this away, and using a dry erase marker. Really helps when I'm trying to plan out designs as well. All right. So next block. Here we are. Let's get you right there. Perfect. Okay. So in this block, I wanted to look at doing the continuous curve. And, oh, hold on. Move you a little closer. There we go. Y'all, you'd think I never did this before. Here we go. Okay. So this was doing that continuous curve throughout the whole block because the print was kind of busy and I didn't want to just throw something on it. I wanted to kind of fill up every single space. I'm going to show you two options. I'm going to show you filling up every single space, and then I'm going to show you if you want to throw an entire block on it to make it faster because the print is so busy. So actually, let's look at showing the print first, the faster version. So I'm going to take a look at the Basic 8 1 and 2 book. It's got a ton of different designs for blocks just like this. And I'm going to look at page 28. So this is a fun and easy design that you can place in starting in the center of your block, which would be right in the center of this 4 patch. And then on the bottom of this book, or the bottom of the page, it gives you the arrows of what direction you want to follow and how you can take this throughout the block for those. Bunch of different cool ideas on that one, Basic 8, 1 and 2. But this one I'm going to start again in the center for this. And I am going to travel up with a continuous arc to that point in the block. When you travel up the first time, you're going to finish everything that's above that section, whether you're going in a diagonal or straight up, straight down, left or right. You're going up then naturally to finish what's in that section, and then we'll come down to close this off. So from this point here, we'll travel over, here, here, and then here, 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 and then here, 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 and then we close that off. So you did all of that in one swoop. Now we're going off to the 45. So we're going to arc over to the 45, and then we're going to do continuous here, and then arc back. Arc over, finish everything that's on that path. So then here, 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 and then we move into that outer triangle there, and then close off the path. But you're just continuously moving to save yourself from having to stop quilting. You're just always following kind of that next step, and having that sheet protector or doing it like on an iPad or a tablet could kind of get that memory of what direction you want to take will help it go a little bit faster when you're trying to learn what's the fastest possible route. There, there, there. It gets to be a lot of curves, but when something's really complex, curves don't take away from it, they just help accentuate it. Again, we have one last one here. Chew, 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 and then we'll close off, starting and stopping again in the center of the block, just like we did the pinwheel. So I'm going to head over to machine. Let's get camera set up real fast while we're looking at the design over there. I'll get camera placed for us, and then, all right, camera's good, y'all. Let's go out to studio, or out to machine, and we're going to start here in the center of the block. So I know a little harder to see with the lights off, but you get to see the quilting at this point. So we will pull up our thread. I'm going to do a tie off here. And we can start then stitching. We're just going to go straight up at this point. Let's get lights on for this one, please, right? So we can see the intersections. Thank you. That way we can see the intersections of the block. Okay, so from here we're going to travel up. So we're going to start to the left or to the right, completely up to you with that curve. Here. And now we're going to start working on what was above that. So arc and arc. There's that. There. There. And then closing that off, and then off to your 45. Again, if you have an arch template that you like personally and you'd like to use that, you can definitely do that for something like this, or you can just kind of go with it.
Hey Corey.
What's up?
Your mom also mentioned you can use the ultimate marking pencil.
My mom is on vacation. She should not be watching this YouTube live. Mom, go back and get in the swimming pool or something. You can definitely use the ultimate marking pencil as well to show what you're doing. Now she done threw me off my game, even from 1,000 miles away. I love you, Mom. I miss you. Doing this all the way around. But you can see when you really get in a mojo, an emotion, and you pick a design that works well for you and the block, you can knock a block out really, really fast and still give it some beautiful quilting. Right to there. I'm going to go ahead and trim our initial first startup threads so they're not in the way. And then we will travel up to that left. Here, 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 and then back to the center. We'll tie off, whether you tie and bury or if you use your tie off feature on your machine, completely up to you. And then we'll pull up those, and I'll give you a look at it right now. So this is with, oh gosh, I love the way it looks. Even with a contrasting thread, that looks really cool. Just kind of lays the block down and just adds a little bit to it. So that is with the lights on so you can see the seams. If we get lights off real quick, we can take a look at the actual work that we put into it. So a lot of fun. I like that secondary pattern we actually got in the center, kind of got a little flower here in the center to work with that. And I thought that was super duper fun, and that was done in less than a minute maybe. So you can really get moving on that. And that doesn't just stop here for a block. If you've got, say, a table runner of these blocks, find the easiest possible route, and you could probably do the whole thing in one motion with finding that route and kind of getting it set up to go at that point. So we're going to head back into studio for our last and final block this evening. We have got, I've kept y'all for a long, it's already been 22 minutes. Oh my goodness, we've been having fun. All right. So I'm going to erase what we've done here. And then let's take a look at our last block. So last block is a little bit of an applique block, just so we have some ideas on how to work around this. So with an applique block, the first thing that I would do to keep the applique from skewing at all I would be doing stitch in the ditch around the outside of this, and you could do it with an applique helper or with a ruler or honestly just by hand. But you're going to work around these pieces, and if you don't get directly on it, right on that ditch, it's okay. When you're doing stitch in the ditch, you're normally doing a thinner thread that matches the background. So if you don't hit it 100%, it's okay. You are your, what do they call it? You're your worst critic. And I guarantee you no one's going to see it unless they're right up on it with a magnifying glass. So that's our stitch in the ditch, right around that section. I would tie and then jump across, and I would go ahead and do the ditch work here, and then tie right there as well. This is going to be one where we'll be tying and jumping around as opposed to have one continuous motion, just to keep it going for us. So I came up with two different ideas for these, and we're just going to kind of play with them to figure out which one we like more. But we're going to come back here to this section, and this is where we'll actually be starting the quilting for the applique pieces. And actually, I take that back. Ray just gave me the look, and I knew the look. After I do the stitch in the ditch, I need to do my background quilting first to lay down my actual block. I was getting excited. I wanted to show you the ideas for in this. But we're going to do our actual background quilting first. If you don't have any ideas that you want to go with for background quilting, I recommend pulling out your Backgrounds, Designs, and Shapes book. And in here it has pages of different background ideas that you could choose from, depending on which one, whatever works for your block. Y'all remember this one from the Peacock panel a couple weeks ago. We used this one right here to fill in that whole background section. But there's so many different ideas and designs that you could choose from. We're just going to do some loops tonight to make it fun and fast. With these, since we technically are right here, we just start and stop. Let's erase this. Let's rewind a little bit. Technically, we're right here. We could go ahead and throw in our loops. If you want to do loops or if you want to do a micro stipple, completely up to you. Throw that there. I would tie off and then I could jump to the next section, and then this would be, we'll do micro stippling. But you could do your background quilting around this section. I'm making it larger for time. But you would do all your background quilting first, and then we would come in and do the sections in here. So for this one, I had a feather idea and then a curlicue idea. I'm going to do both, and then I'll let y'all decide which one we end up doing. So you let us know in the comments which one you like more. So this one is, we've got a feather that comes down. It teardrops here in the center, and then it comes down on this side. So that's one. To get to that section, I do want to put something in this little ring. So I'm going to do ribbon candy to get to the next section right here. And the other option that we have, I mean there's tons of options, but the other one that I had planned out was I could come in with a curlicue, come down, and then a curlicue here, down, add in that peacock feather, which is just kind of an overstitching, kind of that loop of that teardrop, down, and then curlicue on this side, down, curlicue on this side, down. So those are the two options. Option 1 is feathers, option 2 is curlicue. Let us know in the comments which one you'd like to see tonight while I get started on the actual background quilting. And then Ray's going to tally up the answers and let us know which one he wants to do, or which one what the people want to do. So taking a look at those, remember option 1 is feathers, option 2 is curlicue. And we will head out to the machine and look at our block. So there's our block right here. And let's start off with that stitch in the ditch. So I am going to move all my stuff out of the way and do some quick stitch in the ditch around these. Remembering to tie off and then work around. So just do your stitch in the ditch. For time purposes, I'm moving a little faster through it. We're going to work around all of these just to lock that applique down and to keep it from skewing. Those threads, there we go. And then working around these again. If you wanted to give your applique a little bit of a channel, you could do maybe a 1/4 inch off of the applique, and that could be your stitch in the ditch, quote unquote. Just something to kind of lock it down. But it would give it a tad bit of a channel and separate it a little bit from the background quilting that you're going to do. There, and then we're going to come to this section. I would tie off, but I'm just going to jump here and then do that stitch in the ditch around our center circle. And then we get to start on our background quilting. Now, this is a smaller block. Background quilting at 12 stitches per inch might be a little large, so I'm actually going to jump into I'm going to do 14 stitches per inch just to make that stitch a little tighter with what we're working on. And then let's go into lights off as well. Again, don't forget to your vote, option 1, option 2, for what we want to put in these. So because we're in the center, let's do that micro quilting. I'm going to do a micro stipple. I know I talked about doing loops, but I change my mind frequently. To there. Biggest thing about micro quilting with a micro stipple, excuse me, is try to just have fun with it. Try to avoid points and crossovers, and then avoid getting yourself into a pattern. The point of micro stippling or stippling in general is to look random. As we work around this. So locking down that block, I'm going to move my initial threads out of the way and continue on. As we work through. The benefit of these techniques is this stuff can be done either on a long arm or on a domestic sewing machine as well. You know, you don't have to have a large quilting machine to do stuff like this. As we work around this section. Almost done. Coolio. All right, now, right here. I stopped out here, and I'd like to get back at least to one of these pieces so I can try stitching as continuous as possible. So I'm going to do some more stitch in the ditch, and hopefully it hits right on top of where it needs to, just to get me back to where I need to be. So then we can start doing either option 1 or option 2 in these. And Ray, do we have a tally?
We do.
Which one we got?
Option number 3 by Diana.
Option number 3 by Diana.
2 of each.
2 of
Opposite
each.
sides.
She's on the other side of the country, and she's still telling me what to do. Mom, I love you. All right, 1 of each, or 2 of each. Got it. All right. It has spoken. Okay, here we go. All right, I wasn't planning for that, but it's okay. All right, so we're going to start with a feather, and then we'll move to a curly Q, and then a feather, and then a curly Q. So we're going to come off here. Come up with that teardrop one here in the center. Feather here. I'm going to trim my threads so we can get to that next section. So this one could be ribbon candy in here, or if you want to leave this poof for texture, follow your stitch in the ditch to the next piece. So you could do a really tight ribbon candy like this, or you could just follow your stitch in the ditch. Now this one we're going to be doing curly Qs. So come up, curly Q, down, up, curly Q, down, peacock feather up here. So start with that teardrop, fill it in. I'd like to add one more up there, so we'll just travel up. There we go, fill that in, down, curly Q here, and curly Q here. There. So there's that one. I want to show you the idea if you just want to do stitch in the ditch. So travel in that stitch in the ditch that you've already done. Just like that, you could leave out the ribbon candy and then just have it follow and have that natural poof underneath there. So now we're back to option 1, which is feather. Single teardrop. And feather, feather. Because we're staying in a pattern, I'm going to do ribbon candy. And then curly Q. Like that. And that's where we finish off on that. You know what, Mom? I have to tell you, that actually looks pretty cool. Go, Mom. Just like that. So that is what we've got here. I'm going to trim these threads away so you can get the idea of what we've done on this one. And then we'll get lights on in just a second to see it. But that's the actual quilting on this one, swapping it up, throwing some stuff in that with lights on. Then we get to have an idea of what that overall would look like. Even with a high contrasting thread, it still looks really, really cool. So just a view over our 3 blocks one more time. We'll get the block 3, block 2, and block 1. Move the machine over there so we get more black light. There we go. And block 1. Super duper fun on these 3. Oh, I love it. Love it, I love it, I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna head back into studio. Let me know what y'all thought. I had an amazing time with you tonight doing this live. I absolutely love these kind of things, kind of bouncing off and playing with different ideas and grabbing your suggestions and throwing them in as well. Ray, are we good?
Yeah, great.
Okay, just making sure. He was giving me that look. Before I let y'all go this evening, in the comments, give a big happy anniversary to my mom and my stepdad, Darren and Diana. I love you all. I love you all, goodness. I mean, I do love you all, but I love them very, very, very much. And they support me and love me just as much. And so I'm super duper happy that they could have this anniversary trip to spend some time together. And then also a little nudge to myself. Tomorrow is my birthday. I will be 28. I am super duper excited. So that's what I have for you tonight on After Hours. Thank you so much for joining me. I will not be live tomorrow morning for Good Morning LEQ because it's just not the same without Mom. I can't do it without her. But I will see you next Thursday on After Hours as we might dabble in some more blocks, or we're actually we might do another quilting with Corey. I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's the joy of it. I have fun with it. Alrighty, y'all. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.